Hi, it's Paul from Model Builder International. Today we're going to have a look at a first kit from Ammo. Thought I'd treat myself to this one. So this is a 1/72 T-54B. The T-54 and the 55 were a series of Soviet battle tanks introduced in the years after the Second World War. The first T-54 prototype was completed by the end of 1945. However, initial production was halted and curtailed as many problems were uncovered. The T-54B was designed in 1955 and had a new 100mm gun with a two-plane stabilizer. Entered production in 1957. Modern ammunition was developed for it, dramatically enhancing the performance of the gun to keep it competitive with NATO counterparts. During the Vietnam War, the North Vietnamese Army used T-54s along with its Chinese-built copy extensively against the South Vietnamese and Allied US forces. At the very end of the Vietnam War, on 30th of April 1975, an NVA T-54 tank smashed through the main gate of the South Vietnamese Presidential Palace in Saigon, at the conclusion of North Vietnam's conquest of South Vietnam. This widely seen image has come to be regarded by many as perhaps the defining moment of the end of the bloody 20-year-long conflict in Vietnam. Okay, so let's have a look, see what we get inside the box. For 1/72 kit, it's a pretty big box actually. I've seen 1/72 tanks in boxes about half the size of this. So it's a T-54B mid-production. Obviously Vietnam War. I think this is the 44th anniversary of the end of the Vietnam War. On the side we've got just some pictures. Paint schemes are on the back. Vietnam in the 80s, Vietnam War 72. Yom Kippur War from 73, another one from 73, Six-Day War in 67, and Yom Kippur 73, a variety of camouflages from basically sand to mostly green. And then on the side here we have recommended ammo paint sets. Basically these will give you all the colours you're going to need. So this is the very first kit from Ammo themselves. Obviously they resell other people's kits, but this is the first one that they've made for themselves. So as I said, it's new tooling, PE included, detailed tracks, 11 decal versions. So there's just 6 on the back, so there must be more inside. So, end opening box. Let's see what's in here. So, we've got everything seems to be bagged to it. Lower hull in a resealable bag. Booklet. So instructions, but it feels more like a booklet. Piece of wire, some photo etch decals. And then we have 2 identical frets with tracks. And another one with the upper hull and some of the top of the hull parts. So I'll just open these bags and we'll have a quick look. Okay, first thing I say is all the bags are resealable bags, so that's pretty neat. You can put stuff away when you're done. So let's look at this booklet. There is quite a lot of pages in there. So what do we get? Introduction from MiG. And then there's reference photos throughout, a bunch of those. How to assemble this kit, the basics, sprue layout, and then we start on the steps. Lower hull, wheels, running gear, tracks. That looks pretty neat. I'm just trying to work out what's going on there. Looks like you have to work this out, but it looks like these parts here are actually a former, so you can get your tracks put together and basically make them in one, sort of glue them all together and probably paint them and everything, before in the next step you fit them to the lower hull. And that is pretty neat. So, lower hull, you go through, I'll have some close-up looks at some of these steps. It seems like a logical little sequence there. Go to the turret, up to step 18, as usual, the last step, put the turret on the tank. Then they give you painting tips, weathering recommendations, which you'd kind of expect from Ammo since they're big on painting, weathering. Basically gives you ideas for weathering, pointers. Basically probably a shortened version of their the boxes that they're selling now with everything you need in them, plus a book on how to do it. I think the first one was Allied Armour, second one's Late War Luftwaffe. So how to place decals, and here's the more painting and marking guides. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's another 8 there, plus the ones on the back. So I'll have to check what it looks like. There's definitely more here than on the back of the box. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 8 there. And on the back, a couple of adverts for books there. How to paint 1/72nd vehicles, seems like a good one, and another book on 1/72nd scale stuff. And looking at some of the parts, nice detail on everything. Main barrel is hollow on the end. Turret is nice. It's smooth, but there is ways, detail as and where you need it. Some nice pads on there. There's detail on the top of the hull already in place. Fenders, towing cable there. Tracks, and the running gear. It's pretty nice. Oh, looks pretty good. So I'll have a quick look at some of the parts and a close-up look at some of these. So a close-up look at some of the parts, and we'll have a look at some of the steps, and I'll stick up images of the decals and the photo etch. But so far, looks like pretty good first kit from Ammo, and I'm interested to see how the basically their former for the tracks, see how that works today, to sort of make the tracks in one place and then slide them off there and fit them to the vehicle already weathered, painted and everything. I can only find one other T-54B done in this scale. That was done by Trumpeter in 2008 and has been reboxed 3 or 4 times. But the new Ammo kit has over twice the parts count of the Trumpeter kit. Obviously the Ammo kit is not related at all, it's a brand new kit, new sprues and everything. There's a few more T-54/55 kits out there in this scale, but to be honest not as many as I was expecting. So the kit comes in an end opening box, all the sprues are bagged. Inside we've got about 174 plastic parts, 3P parts, a cable, small decal sheet. The colour instruction booklet is a step beyond pretty much anybody else's instruction booklet. So we start off with step 1, which is the lower hull. It has some nice detail moulded onto it for the suspension arms and also underneath it. And then we use one of the parts of the sprues, the nose plate. I like what they've done with the sprue, numbering and lettering system. The letters, as you can see, is basically a cutout, no more rooting around sprues trying to find out exactly what letter this is. And they've done something similar with the numbers. They seem a lot quite clear, they're nice and big. And then down to step 2, where we add the wheels, make them in pairs and put them on either side. Pretty straightforward so far. Step 3 has us putting together most of the tracks, their link and length, and they're nicely detailed. What I like here is they've given you a jig to build most of the tracks. Basically everything apart from the very bottom piece, you use the jig to make sure you get exactly the right shape, and then you can just slide it off there for painting. I'll probably paint it in situ for the most part, but yeah, really nice idea. I've not seen that done anywhere else. And then over the page, step 4 is continuing with the tracks, fit the tracks to the lower hull. Step 5 is adding the last single piece of tracks to either side, and then into step 5 your tracks are completely done. Step 6, we're starting on the upper hull now. The upper hull comes with some nice engraved detail on it, towing hawser, some tools, mudguard supports, detail on the mudguards, it's all there. And step 6 has us using one of the photo etch parts to make a guard for the lights, which are added at this step. Cross to step 7, and we had another photo etch part around the radiator grills, and another few small parts go on as well. Then on to step 8, which is making some storage boxes. Interesting way to do these. Basically the sides of the storage boxes are one long piece, and you basically cut the plastic off the sprue and fold it around to form a rectangle, and then you put the lid on, and that's it. You do that for 3 different storage boxes. Not seen them done that way before. And then across to step 9, where the storage boxes you just made, you put them in place along with the exhaust and another couple of small parts as well. Step 10, more of the same really, adding fuel tanks onto the top of the right hand mudguard on the upper hull. And then step 11, we finally add the upper hull onto the lower hull, and hopefully it'll be a really good fit. Step 12, putting the back of the hull on. There'll currently be a big gap between the back of the lower hull, back of the aft hull, so putting the back plate on there. That's nice recessed, nice detail on it. Then going down the same step, adding lots of small parts. Fuel tanks go on the back mudguards, and a couple of other small parts as well. And then across and adding step 13, putting some, looks like pipework onto the fuel tanks at the back. And step 14 is putting towing hooks on the back of the lower hull. Step 15, we start with the turret. The turret has some nice detail on it. Other than that, it's smooth. We add grab handles, a few small parts. One of the cupola lids goes on with the anti-aircraft gun, and another half lid. Same step, we add some more small photo etch parts. In here they recommend slow drying cyanoacrylate, which is handy because Ammo produced such a product. And then cross to step 16, adding yet more small plastic parts onto the back of the turret, and also a few parts on the front right hand side of the turret. Step 17, we add the main armament. The main gun is moulded in one piece, and it is moulded hollow at the end, which is a nice touch. Basically fit that to the turret along with a couple of small parts that go with it, fit the turret to its base, and then across to step 18, add the infrared searchlight, fit the turret to the lower hull, and the building is finished. Okay, the painting and decals. The paint guides are obviously in full colour. They're really nice, give you everything you're going to need. Colours are all called out as you'd expect in the Ammo paint system. You've got 8 options inside the booklet, and there's 6 on the back of the box, but 4 of the ones on the box are in the booklet, but 2 of them aren't. So in total you've got 10 different decal options, going from the Vietnam War, including the one that goes through the gates of the Presidential Palace in April 1975, all the way up through the 1967 Six-Day War, the Yom Kippur War of 73, up to Vietnam again in the 1980s. There's a huge variety of decal options there for you to have a go at, including you get a flag for the one that crashes through the presidential gates in Saigon, which is pretty neat. Decals, they look very nice. I don't think there are any problems with those. Maybe they were made in-house. The only name on there is an Ammo logo, so not sure who made them. But all in all, plenty of options, good colour guides. Shouldn't be any problems there. We've got plenty of choices. In the booklet you also get ideas about how to weather it, painting, using primers, how to apply decals as well. So it's a really good kit for a novice builder or somebody just wanting to get into weathering for the first time. It would be an awesome kit for that. So overall, it's a brand new tool of a T-54B. It's the best detailed one out there compared to the trumpeter kit of like 10 years ago. Loads of decal options which are quite nice. Some innovative ideas in the assembly which would be good to see how those actually pan out. They think of a new way to use the tracks. Tracks is always is a problem for a lot of people, so it'd be nice to see exactly how those work out. But it's good that Ammo are trying to fix things, trying to make things easy for people to get a good end result. And in the guide you also get ideas about painting, ideas about weathering, as you'd expect from Ammo. So all in all, a really nice little kit, should do well.